they're dry. You see there's no marrow in the bone. You see they're scattered all over the valley. They ain't even full skeletons. I mean, the bones are scattered all over the valley. They're just bones. But answer me a question, Ezekiel. Can these bones live? Ezekiel answers the only way he knows how to answer. Lord, you know. Critical race theory was born out of critical legal theory. Am I teaching y'all something today? There emerged two common beliefs linking all critical race theories. First, white supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's just a fact. How in the world are you going to fight against that being taught in any school? White supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's a fact. Why don't you want that to be taught in school? You let your schools teach us that Columbus discovered America. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that George Washington couldn't tell a lie. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that some slave owners were beneficent and good slave owners. There were no good slave owners. Anybody who owned people was evil. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that Abraham Lincoln was good for Negroes. No, Abraham Lincoln was trying to save the Union. And Abe Lincoln himself said if he could save the Union and keep black people in chains, he would do it. That's a lie. Come on, somebody. You let them teach us about a white Jesus. You let them teach us that Native Americans were the aggressors. Come on, somebody. That white folk had a manifest destiny and that the pilgrims were good to Native Americans. That's a lie. All day, every day, you let them teach us lies. All throughout my history in school, I was taught lies. But you got a problem with critical race theory because it teaches the truth that white supremacy has subordinated black people and people of color. The right to bear arms. Let me just back up a little bit and let me take you on back to the late 1960s when Ronald Reagan was the governor of California. And they were oppressing black folk, and a group of men and women known as the Black Panther Party decided that they were going to defend the rights of black folk. And the Black Panthers decided that the Second Amendment wasn't just for white folk. So they strapped themselves with guns and showed up at the Capitol in California. And when they saw them Negroes with guns, come on, somebody. That's why I say if you ever really want to get gun laws changed, just strap all these Negroes up. They'll change them laws before the week is over. When the Black Panthers, watch this, I want you to read, the California legislator passed what was called the Mulford Act. It was a gun control act that decided who could get guns, who couldn't get guns, what could be in your background, what couldn't be in your background. It was the first time in history that the National Rifle Association, the NRA, supported restrictive gun legislation, all because black folk had the nerve to get strapped. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, go get strapped. Amen, somebody. Y'all gonna say Bishop told us to get strapped. I said it. Go get strapped. It just got real quiet up in here. But y'all already know I'm a triple P. Amen. Y'all know what a triple P is, right? A pistol packing preacher. Amen, somebody.
Thank you, Jesus. responsibility to help somebody else make it across. Thank you, Jesus. Don't pull up the ladder because you climbed to the top. Don't blow up the bridge because you made your way across. Thank you, Jesus. But reach your hand back down the ladder and pull somebody else up out of Lodabar. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Bless the name of the Lord. Somebody got to tell themselves, it's all right if you got it now, just hold it for me. I'll be there to get it after a while. Oh, bless the name of the Lord. Thank you, Jesus. You got to make up in your mind that what God has for me, it is for me. I might not have it right now. I may not get it next week. You might try to stop me from getting it. But if God said it's mine, I want you to know after a while, I'm going to get what belongs to me.
90.7 WTCC. Good morning. Welcome to the Spoken Word. I'm your host, Bishop Talbert Swan II. And as usual, we'll be telling it like it is through cultural idioms and nuances that shape the order, ethos, and chaos of the African-American experience. Words have their own vitality. They shape their own consciousness and create their own context for interpreting social and spiritual reality. The spoken word contains the power to reshape the landscape of society. It is 4 minutes past the hour of 9 a.m. And I want to thank Mr. Kenneth Barnett for bringing us up until the 9 o'clock hour with The Promise. You can hear The Promise every Monday morning from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., bringing you the best in gospel music. A good way to start out your Monday morning, a great way to start out your week. Oh, boy. And, we don't even want to talk about the week, man. We can just talk. We can just talk about last night. I know y'all saw it. I know y'all saw it because everybody's talking about it. The slap that went around the world. Okay? Will Smith slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars and got to go sit down and finish the show. We're going to talk about that. If we got time, we'll deal with Ketanji Brown Jackson, all of that foolery in the Judiciary Committee's hearings. And what about Joe Biden's whites only pie? What do you mean, Bishop? Whites only refugee policy. Yeah, whether you believe it or not, America has one. So it's gonna go quick today because I got to get off right at 10. Coming up at 10 o'clock. Coming up at 10 o'clock is Justice and Flow. Coming up at 10 o'clock is Justice and Flow. Let me see. Justice and Flow is coming up at 10 o'clock. And I won't be on it today. The wife will be on it, and she has guests. So stay tuned for that as well. If you can hear me on Facebook, let me know. They told me they couldn't hear me, so hopefully we just got that fixed. But stay with us. Stay with us. All right. It's gonna go quickly, but it's some content, some things we need to talk about. All right.
413-337-1867. Rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Do me a favor, like, share, subscribe. Those of you that are on our social media, let us know where you're chiming in from. Would love to shout out your city, your town. I see you, King Plan. I see you, man. Someone should have done it when Chris Rock was laughing with those comedians using the N-word. Now, bruh, you got a point right there. Anyway, we're going to talk about all this stuff right after this quick break. Don't you go nowhere. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I look in the mirror and I like what I see. A strong, beautiful black woman staring back at me. One who's seen a lot of pain and had her share of sorrow, but who never gave up hope for a brighter tomorrow. I've been lied to, cheated on, and stolen from and hated, but it just made me stronger and I refuse to quit. That's right. And though I've been tempted, I refuse to stoop to their level. Don't go down. I was above that nonsense and made a liar of the devil. All right now. The devil who said I wasn't good enough, cute enough, or worthy of love, I kicked his blood with divine power from above. Power that says I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me and brought me out of darkness so that I can see that I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm a child of the King. Abundant love for me, he came to bring. Oh yes, when I look in the mirror, I love what I see. She's looking good. That strong, beautiful black woman, that woman is me.
The essence of life is growth, but the essence of growth is change. The being in the road would be the end of the road if you refuse to change. Reach a little higher, reach a little higher, dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper, go a little further, go a little further. Come on, come on, come on. Reach a little higher, come on, yeah. Dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper, go a little further, go a little further. Come on, but don't stop. The essence of life is growth, but the essence of growth is change. The being in the road will be the end of the road if you refuse to change. Your life will never change until you get disgusted with where you are. Whatever you don't hate is what you tolerate. You must learn from the past, plan for the future, and live for today. For it is your daily routine that determines your success or failure in life. It's the choices that you have made up until this point that will determine the rest of your life. So break the cycle that doing it enough is simply good enough. You only get out what you put in, so don't settle for the crumbs when you can have a whole lot. So push yourself beyond your limitations. Come on. Reach a little higher, reach a little higher, dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper, go a little further. Don't stop,
don't stop.
Reach a little higher,
reach a little higher,
dig a little deeper,
dig a little deeper,
go a little further,
go a little further.
Don't stop,
don't stop.
Don't stop. So you gotta break the routine of trying to beat the system. Manipulators will always try to bypass the process for the quick progress. There are no shortcuts to success. There are no elevators to the top. You gotta take it one step at a time. You gotta break the routine of allowing others to get into your head and control who you are and where you're going. You see, when you're about the positive, you're gonna always have haters. But don't let your haters push you down, let your haters push you forward to the next level. So when
let me see here,
they really are, don't perceive them to be something else that they're not.
I got New Jersey.
Change his stripes. So you gotta keep pushing yourself to the next level. Yeah.
I got New Jersey in the building.
Come on. Yeah.
Go a little further.
Go a little further.
Don't stop. I got Seattle.
Yeah.
Seattle, Washington, Mattapan, Mass is up in there. Buffalo, New York is in the building. Okay. Australia is in the house.
You'll never discover your greatness.
Springdale, Maryland
Greatness is more about
is in the building.
Respect for yourself. And greatness will
Chicago is up in here.
Show me your friends.
Come on, rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Come on with it.
Don't ever give up.
ATL. I see you, Harold Milton. ATL is in the building. South Kakalaki is up in here.
You see, there's no
yeah.
too high, no valley too low. You can go where you want to go.
Where else, y'all? Mexico
imagination. You can
is up in here.
You can do.
Rep your city, rep your town.
Stretch yourself. Take yourself.
Atlanta is in the building again. Where y'all at, YouTube? Come on, I don't see the YouTubers checking in. Where y'all in from? Go a little further.
Come on.
Don't stop. Reach a little higher.
Dig a little deeper.
Dig a little deeper.
Go a little further. Don't stop.
Oh, Zach, I appreciate you too, man.
Come on.
I see you, missionary. Here's from Springfield. Canberra, Australia. In the house. 413-337-1867. If you're in the Twitter space, all you have to do is put in a request. The rest of you all can call in, or if you're on social media, put your comments in the chat section. Don't stop.
Come on.
Good mornings.
You gotta go for the gold.
You gotta go for the gold, y'all. 413-337-1867 is the number here if you want to chime in on the conversation. Man, let's not start with the Oscars. Let's start with the whites only pie. Let's start with the whites only pie. Now, what you mean, Bishop? Whites only pie? Y'all remember that scene in Life, man. I'm drawing a blank, man. That's what happened when you get old. My uncle always used to tell me 2 things happen to you when you get old. One of them is you forget things, and the other one, I forgot. But in any case, listen, for real though, that scene is an iconic scene where Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence, they go into a restaurant. They've been traveling all night, and they want to go get something to eat. And Martin Lawrence's character smells the pie, and he says, "Man, do you smell that? Man, that smells good." And he says, "Hey, Billy, we want some coffee and 2 slices of pie." And Eddie's like, "Man, I lost my appetite, man. I don't want no pie." he understands what's going on. And the white lady says, "These are whites only pie." And he says, "Well, do you have some Negro pie?" Anyway, she pulls the gun and they leave the restaurant. Well, Joe Biden got him a whites only immigration policy, whether y'all believe it or not. Hold on, let me play that clip because this is one of my favorite clips.
I like it. Yeah, I smell something. Smells good, right?
Yeah, you smell that? It smells good, right?
I like it. Yeah, I smell something. Smells good, right? Yeah, I think maybe we should go to another place. Yeah, are you kidding? Tell me you don't want one of these pies right here, right over here. The pies were good call, but I kind of lost my appetite when I came in here. My appetite was low. Good afternoon, Billy. We got some coffee and a couple of slices of pie.
And you boys can read so good. How come you missed that sign on the door over there?
Oh, that sign on the door that we just, how come we didn't see that sign? It said no colors allowed, Club. We just rushed in, we were really hungry, so we kind of missed that. Look, we see it now, so bye. All we want is some coffee and a couple of slices of pie. Is that all right?
No, these are whites only pies.
But do you have any Negro pies? Hey, Carla, come on now. Woman ain't got the recipe to no Negro pie. Where would she get that recipe?
She ain't got no recipe for no Negro pie. Where would she get that recipe? Listen, I promise you, this really happened. Let me. You gotta see. Let me mute the sound, but I want you to at least see the headline, because these headlines came out on the same exact day. The same day. I need for you to see it. I need you to see. Look at the headline right there. Those of you who are on social media can see it. I know you can't see it on Instagram. But one headline says that the United States, and they're both on March 24th. They're both last week. One headline says that the United States launches deportation operation to Colombia using Title 42 rule. What's Title 42 rule? I'm glad you asked. Title 42 was a rule recommended to the Trump administration by racist Stephen Miller. It was a way to use the pandemic as an excuse not to receive refugees, not to allow them to go through the process that they had a right to. Every refugee has a right to solicit America for asylum. But instead of allowing them, they used the pandemic as an excuse and basically said the risk of them spreading COVID was good enough for them to deport them. Now, Biden gets into office and he's getting rid of all of these Trump policies about climate change, getting back with the Paris Accord, all this, all that. He's rescinding all these executive orders, all these policies, but he keeps this policy in place. Why? Why did he keep that policy in place? And why is the Biden administration using Title 42? It was Title 42 that they're using, that this article is talking about, to deport Colombians. It's under Title 42 since. Okay, let me read the other article and then I'll get into it a little deeper. The other article you see, the U.S. will accept up to 100,000 Ukrainian refugees. It will accept up to 100,000 Ukrainian refugees. Okay. Now, the U.S. also accepted 76,000 Afghan refugees and allocated $6.4 billion to resettle them and granted them TPS, temporary protected status. Well, Bishop, they got war in their country and all that. They should be doing this. What's wrong with you? Why wouldn't you want? I'm not saying they shouldn't do this. What I'm saying is, if you're going to give temporary protective status and you're going to spend billions of dollars to resettle refugees that are fleeing war-torn nations, let's be fair and do it for everybody. Because in the 1 year that Biden has been in office, they have deported 30,000 Haitians using Title 42. Okay? So you're deporting Haitians and Colombians, but come on in and let's spend billions of dollars. It's $14 billion to receive Ukrainians. Wait a minute. You're spending money to fly over 250 planes, the 250th plane ride, to bring refugees back to Haiti. But you're spending $14 billion on Ukraine and accepting 100,000 Ukrainian refugees. You deported 30,000 Haitian refugees. Biden deported more Haitians in his first year than the last 4 presidents combined. Even Trump deported less than 7,000 Haitians in 4 years. Biden has deported 30,000 Haitians in his first year. What is the difference between Ukrainians, Haitians, and Colombians? I can't quite put my finger on it. What is the difference? Huh? I see you, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. What is the difference? I see you on Marion. What is the difference between Haitians, Colombians, and Ukrainians? It can't be that Ukrainians are white Europeans, Colombians are brown, and Haitians are black. That's not America. Joe Biden would tell you that's not America. But there's something that's driving a policy where you deport 30,000 Haitians in 1 year using a racist policy that you kept from the Trump administration. And here's the other thing. How in the hell are you going to tell us that 30,000 Haitians put America at risk of COVID? Colombians put America at risk of COVID. But 76,000 Afghans and 100,000 Ukrainians don't put America at any risk of COVID. So Title 32 don't apply to white people. Right? I mean, for real? So Joe Biden, just like the little restaurant in the scene from Life, how come y'all didn't see that sign? Y'all can read so good. And the sign said coloreds only. No, it said no coloreds allowed, rather. Joe Biden has put the whites only sign up on America. He's put the whites only sign up on America. We're not accepting any refugees that aren't white. We're going to take 100,000 Ukrainians, but these black Haitians are too dangerous because of the pandemic. Now, y'all, I don't care what y'all Democrats say. I hear what you're saying, Bishop, but the alternative is far worse. You know what kills me about y'all is that's y'all go-to argument. Instead of condemning the racism of Democrats, you always pointing at Republicans. The Republicans is far worse. So you got no smoke. You got no smoke for Jim Crow Joe deporting 100,000 Haitians in his first year, more than every of the last 4 presidents combined. You got no smoke for him because the Republicans are worse. Yet the Republican president before him only deported 6,600 Haitians in 4 years. And here's the thing, y'all. I can be critical of Biden without supporting Trump. And the fact that y'all think we can't is what kills me. That because Trump is so bad, we just have to be quiet and ignore the bigotry of the Democrats. This is happening under a Democrat administration. And they purposely kept a racist Republican policy so they could have an excuse to deport black people and brown people. That's the fact. That's the fact. Now, if y'all got a different take on it, let me know what it is. Tell me why Haitians are more dangerous because of the pandemic than 100,000 Ukrainians. Ukrainians don't catch COVID? They can't spread COVID? Tell me why. Tell me why on the same day that Biden announces we're going to receive 100,000 Ukrainians, that the United States launched a deportation operation for Colombians. At the same time, he's telling, let's let the white people in. Let the white Ukrainians in. At the same time, all right, get rid of them brown Colombians. This is happening in America simultaneously. And y'all got your head in the sand if you're making excuses for it. You got your head in the sand if you're making excuses for it. This is racism, plain and simple. Plain, and I know y'all don't like using the R word when Democrats are in office. But let me tell you what I often tell white people who come for me. Racism is not about political party. Racism is not a Democrat thing. Racism is not a Republican thing. Okay? Racism is a white thing. All right? It's a white thing. It's a white thing. And it's one of the very few areas that gets bipartisan support. What do I mean? You know how Democrats and Republicans are always fighting over everything. You know, Republicans are going to try to block anything that Democrats do. Democrats are going to try to block anything that Republicans do. Y'all know how this goes. Well, the reality is this. Racism is one thing they both can agree on. They can both agree. That's the reason why the Democrats kept the Trump policy. Okay? That's the reason they kept the policy, because they agree on it, y'all. They agree on it. They say, yes, we need to keep this policy. We got to keep this policy. Yes, we have to keep this. Yeah, this will give us a good excuse to get rid of those Haitians. Good morning, Philadelphia. 413-337-1867. Y'all don't like me right now. Y'all don't like me because I'm talking about the Democrat president. Y'all don't like that. But listen, we got to keep it a buck. Got to keep it 100. Y'all got to stop pretending that all of a sudden when white folks put a D by their name, they can't be racist no more. Once again, 413-337-1867. Ketanji Brown Jackson. Now, let me say this to y'all. There are many of you all who have a problem with some things she did on the bench. There are a lot of y'all who've been using some very inflammatory language about her, calling her all kinds of bed wenches and stuff because she's married to a white man. You have a problem that she's married to a white dude. And let me say this. You have your right to critique her work on the bench, to critique her politics, and all of that. And you don't have to like that. And you don't have to think she'll make a good Supreme Court justice just because she's black. You don't have to think that. But you cannot deny the racism that she faced in those judiciary hearings. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Bishop. I just wanted to thank you, because it's so refreshing to hear you, speak about racism being a white thing, because it's, as you said, and I agree 100%, it doesn't matter if you have a D or an R behind your name, if you're white or black or anything. Racism is a white thing, and we get it I get it at work. I'm a Mexican woman, and we are one of the most hated groups in this country, And so I just appreciate you so much, and I just wanted to say that. I appreciate you so much. I follow you, on Twitter, and I'm so glad I found you, because it's so hard to see, like what you said, right? That Biden said, "Oh, hey, welcome, 100,000 Ukrainians," but when do we hear him saying, "Hey, welcome 100,000 Guatemalans," or welcome 100,000? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those people are, a lot of people don't see this. We're over here supporting a war across the world, yet there are hundreds of thousands of people sitting on our border right now from all over the world, starving to death. You know what I mean? They just got through a really strong winter, right? We're sitting on the Mexican border right now, and we're treating them so inhumanely. So why can't we share that same kind of love?
And
right?
then let's not forget.
Love is racist, right? I don't know. How do you say that, Bishop? Help me out.
Well, and let's not forget, while they're accepting Ukrainians, Ukrainians are discriminating against Africans trying to flee the nation. Telling them that they have to wait for the Ukrainians to get out. They have to wait for the Ukrainians to go into the shelter. They have to wait for the Ukrainians to get fed. Basically, fend for yourself. No blacks allowed. That's happening in Ukraine while they're at war with Russia.
Yeah, I know. And everybody just kind of ignores that, and they put up their little Ukrainian flag, and I have nothing against the Ukrainians, and I'm praying for them too, but you know what, I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired of seeing the same old thing being played out. We have two men out there playing war, with each other, and then everybody's like, yeah, let's go support Ukraine, and no one's talking about, the racist policies that they implement. Like, I can't even imagine trying to flee a country when someone's bombing me, and then them telling me, no, you can't.
Right.
You
stay here.
Like,
you stay here and get bombed. It's crazy. Thank you for your
crazy,
comment.
but you know what, Bishop? It hurts. Yeah. It hurts. It hurts, and my mind almost wants to blow up, because I'm like, you guys, can't you see this? Right? Can't you see this? And everybody just ignores it. And I'm sick. Like, I get sick. I get anxiety, and I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, Bishop, I will let you keep going because I really like to hear you. But thank you so much for taking my call this morning. I appreciate you so much.
All right. Thank you for your call. 413-337-1867. If you're in the Twitter space, put in your request to get in on the conversation. So again, on Ketanji Brown Jackson, Judge Brown Jackson, regardless of whether you agree with her, good morning, Pastor Mark Bayman, my friend, whether you agree with her politics or not, you can't deny the blatant racism that she faced in those hearings. And here's my concern. There's a lot of black folk who don't agree with her politics, who don't think she's going to be a good Supreme Court justice, who say that it's symbolic, who say that it's not going to move the needle for black people, so they are apathetic about the way she was treated. That's where I have a problem. You can feel all of that, but that is what Dr. King meant when he said injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And you do yourself and black people a disservice when you feel like there are some black people who deserve to bear the brunt of white supremacy because you don't like them. So it's okay to discriminate and dehumanize these black people because I don't like them. No, I don't have time for that. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Good morning, caller. Going once, going twice, gone. Yeah. No black person deserves to be dehumanized and disrespected simply because of the color of their skin, regardless of whether you agree with their politics or not. That's real. Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning.
You're on the air.
Yeah, I wanted to comment that Lindsey Graham even. Hello?
Yeah, you're on. Go ahead. Turn your radio down. You're going to confuse yourself. There's a delay.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out why Lindsey Graham was asking anybody any questions in the first place when isn't he under investigation?
Lindsey Graham is a clown. Not only that, all of these crazy Republicans, Ted Cruz included, Mitch McConnell, who said he couldn't vote for Judge Jackson, all of them voted to confirm her to the federal bench. So how do you vote to give her a lifetime appointment as a federal judge and then say, oh, I can't vote to give her a lifetime appointment on the Supreme Court? It's peak hypocrisy.
Yeah, I agree. But I just couldn't understand how he could even be questioning somebody on something in the first place.
Yeah, Lindsey's crazy. He's a joke.
Maybe he wouldn't be so confused.
Oh no, this is the guy who ripped into Donald Trump and said he was the worst thing to ever happen to the Republican Party, and then before it was all over, he was just licking his boots. So right. This guy doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know his head from his hind part.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Thank you for your call.
You're welcome.
413-337-1867. And so for those who were questioning, oh, you're supporting this judge. No, I'm supporting a black woman's right to not be disrespected. It has nothing to do with whether or not I think she'll make a good judge. I believe she shouldn't be disrespected, as no black woman should be, regardless of who they're married to. That's my position, because I could see my mother sitting there, my wife, my daughters, my granddaughter. It didn't matter if it was a black woman that you completely agreed with that was sitting there. they would have been treated the same way. The same way. Because she didn't get that smoke. That smoke had nothing to do with critical race theory. It had nothing to do with her being on the board of a school that taught from certain books. It had nothing to do with her so-called being soft on pedophiles. It had to do with her being black. I mean, how is the Trump crowd going to talk about somebody being soft on pedophiles when their hero was accused of raping a 13-year-old, accused of raping 26 women, was best friends with an indicted pedophile, child sex trafficker, Jeff Epstein. He was best friends with him, hung out with him, the whole nine. This was the guy who endorsed Roy Moore for the United States Senate and accused child molester. How in the world y'all gonna talk about somebody being soft on pedophile when you worship a man who is surrounded by them, endorse them, pardon them? Stop it. 413-337-1867. Let's get to this Will Smith. The Will slaps Chris Rock. And a lot of you were saying, well, you know, his wife has alopecia. He was mocking her bald head. He deserved it. Yada 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 yada. Let me give my 2 cents in this. I hear y'all. I do. I hear what y'all are trying to say.
Jada, I love her. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? I'm out here. Wow. Will Smith smacked the shit out of me. Nigga like me out your fucking mouth. Wow, dude. Yeah. It was the G.I. Jane. Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. I'm going to, okay? That's what I have to do. Okay. That was he was right in the history of television. Okay.
If you West Philadelphia, born and raised on the playground of
Okay, so that was the incident that happened at the Oscars. There's so much to unpack here. So much to unpack. I know I'm going to ramble, but hey, just take it. Just take it. Okay, so I hear you, Angela. He was mocking her bald head with the G.I. Jane. There are some who say, well, Chris didn't know she had alopecia. I mean, how many of you before yesterday knew that? Because many people just thought that was, her fashion statement, that she chose to have, her hair like that. Many people didn't know. So y'all keep trying to pretend like all of y'all knew. Now, there's some of y'all who might have known, but a whole lot of y'all didn't know nothing about it till people started saying something about it after the punch happened last night. But here's the thing. As a public figure, you got to be able to endure people talking about you. And I know somebody's going to say, he's protecting black women. Chris wasn't attacking Jada physically in any way. Did her feelings maybe get hurt by that? Yeah. But comedians are comedians. So you mean to tell me that all of y'all who was telling the LGBTQ community to get over, or the trans community to get over Dave Chappelle? Do y'all think somebody should have came up on stage and punched Dave Chappelle in the face? I mean, comedians talk about gay folk, black folk, white folk, fat folk. You know, is somebody gonna come on stage and punch them every time they make a joke? Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes. I don't think. Good morning. I don't think Chris had an idea about the alopecia. He's a comedian. That's what he does. You know, it's not. And everybody's trying to make it like this big thing. But Will and Jada got a lot of their business out the street.
And see, that's what I'm talking about.
Whatever. But now all of a sudden they say something, and Will is out there throwing blows and whatever. I mean, he was protecting his right to right, but there was a better way to do that. And I thought Will was a better man for that. I thought he could have pulled maybe Chris Rock to the side later on and said, you know, yo, listen, my wife has such and such, you know, that was like not a good deal, man, you know, whatever. But to do it in front of so many people and then take the opportunity to shed tears and kind of put that together like it had something to do with like the Williams father, like, you know, oh, I jumped into that character, blah, blah, blah. You know, and it was just rough. You know, it was a bad night for black people. That's not what we do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I feel bad for him both ways. I feel bad for Chris too. But Chris handled it like a man, you know, and did his thing. But I think it was I feel bad for Chris. He had no idea.
Right.
And you know,
and you can tell when Will was approaching him, Chris was leaning forward. He had no idea that's what he was coming up there to do. He had no clue. I mean, it was completely unexpected.
Absolutely.
And here's the other thing. When he first told the joke, Will was laughing.
He was laughing. I think he noticed that his wife was upset and turned around and said, oh, shoot.
Exactly.
And chose to do something afterwards. You know, which wasn't cool. You know, he still should have told another way to do that. He did that in front of national TV, all the people in the room, you know, whatever. You don't break bread like that after the fact. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was like I said, it was a bad night for all of that. You know, and I just feel bad that it went that way. But you know, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate your call. 413-337-1867. Yeah. So and so as the caller was saying, so much of Will and Jada's business is out there. Will didn't slap August for the entanglement, and somebody's going to say he gave August permission. So okay, so somebody got permission to have an entanglement with your wife. Just don't make a joke about her. Okay. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, beloved. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm calling from the perspective of a guardian.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing is, we need to forget about Democrats, Republicans, and put our money where our money need to be. With our community. You know what I mean?
I hear
That's
you.
That's what's going to happen for us. Instead of keep running here, running there, begging for people to do this and do that for us.
All right.
That's it. All right. Have a blessed day, though.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Here's the other thing. What Will did was criminal assault. It was criminal assault. I don't care what y'all say. That's what it was. It was criminal. It was criminal assault. Chris Rock was the bigger man for refusing to file charges against him. He could have had Will leave the Oscars in handcuffs. The LAPD asked him if he wanted to file charges. Will Smith could have been led out of the Dolby Theater in handcuffs. Yeah, he would have got bailed out that night. But he would have been facing criminal charges. And rightfully so. The other thing I question, I can only speculate. If if Chris Rock was a white comedian, would Will have walked up on that stage and did what he did? You know, Arsenio Hall used to say things that make you go, then Will apologized to his colleagues in the academy, but he didn't apologize to Chris. Here's the thing. In West Philadelphia, everybody's talking about, he told you he was from West Philly. How you gonna be hard rock from West Philly and slap a man and then be snotting and crying, talking about, I want to be a vessel of love, all in the same night? Man, that whole scenario is absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. And like the caller said, he could have handled it better than that. He could have pulled him to the side after the fact and dealt with it. If a man says something about my wife, he may get some choice words from me. I'll be upset, but I'm not going to go to jail over it. Now, if a man threatens my wife physically, then it's on and popping. I risk going to jail. That's protecting her. I'm not going to let any physical harm come to her in that kind of way. That's when I get anointed to lay hands. But I'm not just going to go punch somebody because they said something. So y'all stop justifying what happened. There was no justification. You can say Chris was wrong. Okay, I'll buy that. Okay. If Chris knew about her disease and was making fun of it, yes, he was wrong. Chris is a comedian, though. I don't know if he knew about it or not. But even if Chris was wrong, that doesn't make Will's reaction right. And it was embarrassing. And it was shameful. And he walked up on stage. And you know who else ought to be ashamed? The Oscars ought to be ashamed. Because how do you let a man assault your host, the person you hired to host the Oscars, who should have been protected? Where was security? How do you let the man attack your host and then just go back and sit down like nothing happened and complete the night and get his Oscar and give a speech? He should have been escorted out of the Dolby Theater. I promise you, if I had a ticket to the Oscars and I walked up on stage and slapped Chris Rock, first of all, I'm not even sure I would have got to the stage. But if I would have walked up on the stage and slapped Chris Rock, I would have left in handcuffs. And the Dolby Theater and the Oscars and everybody else and their mama would have been filing charges against me. But because it was Will Smith, they ignored it. And then they put out this weak as water statement. The Oscars does not condone yada, 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 so on and so on and so forth. And yes, the speech was disingenuous. All the stuff about I was called to protect, that was him trying to tell y'all he was protecting Jada in order to justify his attack. Good morning, caller. You're the last caller of the day.
I didn't watch it, but did he say wrong or what?
What you say?
I said I didn't watch the Oscar. Did he get hurt on? What you watch? You hit him hard? I didn't watch the Oscar last night.
Go watch it. Go. There's plenty out there about it. Go on and check it out. You must have been really asleep under a rock then, because I didn't watch the Oscars either. But I sure found out about that. Listen, I'm going to have to sign off a little bit early today. I'm going to bring. Oh man, y'all want to call now? Good morning, caller.
Hi, this is Swan.
Yes.
Hi. Yes, my name is Robin Harris, and I was listening to you, and I agree with you with a lot of your points regarding. I think they were both wrong. I think the thing that bothers me is that how race is able to keep the say the boundaries around something because I don't think that Will would have smacked. I don't think he would have smacked Ricky Gervais or Larry David or Jon
That's
Stewart.
what I was saying. If that was not a black comedian, would Will have walked up there and smacked him?
And by the same token, if I'm sitting in my house and know that Jada has alopecia, I would think that Chris Rock knows that she has alopecia. But the other thing is that I thought the joke, it seemed almost like the joke was phoning it in because number one, like I don't remember G.I. Jane being that much of a box. I don't remember it being that good of a movie. And so to me, when I heard it, the joke sounded very dated. Comedians I think are called to give commentary on the current happenings. So I didn't really care for the joke, and it felt like it fell flat. But by the same token, I don't think that Chris would have made that joke. That could have easily been Tom Hanks up for an Oscar. I don't think he would have had Rita Wilson be the butt of that joke. Or if you want to take someone more, on par with Jada Pinkett, then I think that would be like Mila Kunis. I don't think he would have made that joke about Mila Kunis.
I got you. I understand.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your call. All right. What I'm going to do here, I'm signing off of WTCC. Check us out at the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ, 35 Alden Street, Springfield, Massachusetts. Register for the next Lift Every Voice lecture series. Go to focusspringfield.com/LEV 2022 and register. Now, I'm going to bring the First Lady in right now, because she's going to be coming up with Justice and Flow, and I'm going to disappear for a while, and y'all going to just keep calling in. Y'all just want to call in while I'm signing off and the whole nine. Y'all just want to keep on calling, right? Yeah. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Bishop. How are you?
I'm good.
I just have to say that I think a lot of what occurred with Chris Rock and Will Smith debacle was him trying to not necessarily to protect her. I think it was some emasculation going on that he was trying to prove his manhood with, because he laughed at the joke at first until he looked over at her.
Absolutely.
And if their business hadn't been in the streets like it is, and who has an affair with their son's best friend? You know what I'm saying? Who does that? So she kind of like, if you were trying to victimize her, like she's a victim of something, but that it doesn't quite fit the whole scenario to me.
Right.
Because,
I'm with you. I'm with you, but I gotta go. I appreciate your call. All right. Listen, until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember God loves you, and so do I. You are now in the hands of First Lady Swan for Justice and Flow. I gotta go to a meeting. Good morning, babe.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm good.
Stuffy. Do I sound bad?
You sound fine, but I gotta go. I'm out. Okay. I got
you. Bring my guest up. You got my guest there?
As soon as your guest appears, we'll get your guest up in here, but they're not backstage yet.
All right, good. Then we can continue with this conversation till they get here. Good
All
morning,
right,
everybody. How y'all doing? Bishop gotta go. He got a meeting this morning with the church, with the National Church. I know I'm married to a very busy churchman of the Church of God in Christ. So good morning, everybody. I have a good show planned for you. I have two guests that are coming this morning. We're going to talk about some stuff that's going on. But I see it's kind of hot and heavy already. So we can continue with this conversation. And I can just add my 2 cents to what I feel about the whole Will Smith and Chris Rock scenario, a situation that took place on last night. And I see my sister Angela here. We kind of, did some back and forth on Facebook last night, and for some reason, just to kind of take a curve here, for some reason my Facebook is acting funny. I don't know if it's some kind of scam going on, but it won't let me into my Facebook account. So something is going on with that. But anyway, I digress. Back to the Will Smith and Chris Rock. Oh my God. Now, if any of you are like me, I'm not a fan of nobody. I'm just not that kind of person, whatever. I'm not a celebrity chaser, like I just don't do that, but I love Will Smith's work. And certainly I'm like most of us, been following him and cheering for him, and just appreciating his transparency, down through the years, at least, what we thought or always saw as his transparency down through the years. Good morning, Tracy. Good morning, Justin.
Good morning.
So, I don't know if y'all been listening, but I was kind of, in the middle of, still talking about this Will Smith, Chris Rock stuff that took place on last night. So let me just kind of wrap that up for a little bit, because I was just going to give my 2 cents, whatever. But I love Will Smith just like everybody else. I love Will Smith, love Chris Rock. I love everybody in all their lines, because I'm rooting for everybody black. Okay, so, but anyway, with that being said, I feel like Will was completely out of line to go on stage last night and slap that man the way that he did, and then go back to his seat. And I really, 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 really appreciate the fact that Chris took it. He didn't strike back, and then he didn't file charges like he certainly could have and would have the right to. Now, everybody is trying to justify it, saying, that he was trying to protect his wife. And I definitely get that, because I'm all for protecting the wife, and the man standing up to defend the wife whenever necessary. But like my husband said, I wouldn't want him to physically assault somebody that wasn't trying to physically assault me, or trying to physically assault our children, or or whatever, that wasn't coming for us like that, or whatever. I do think that maybe words would have been appropriate, but offline, that he should have approached Chris, and he should have talked to Chris on the side, and said, man, my wife is this, whatever. And they could have had the discussion, and Chris could have, made whatever changes he might have wanted to make, but he's a comedian. And I just felt like that was completely disrespectful. And not only disrespectful, it was assault, and, we have a lawyer on the line. So I know Justin, know what I'm talking about. Chris could completely had him, press charges on last night, and he wouldn't have even been there to get his Oscar. That's the other thing too. The other thing is, I think Chris looked at it in 2 ways. He thought about the fact that this is the first coordinated Oscar by a black producer, right? It was a black producer that produced the Oscars on last night. I think Chris thought about that. And I think Chris also thought about the fact that Will probably was going to win the Oscar. So he did not want to, make the scene any worse than what it already was. I just think it was completely out of line. I feel bad for both of them, but I'm really praising Chris, after last night. I'm really praising Chris for being a bigger man, after, what happened to him on last night. So that's that. That's my 2 cents, y'all. we got something else planned on this morning, unless my guests, wanted to get their 2 cents on the situation too before we get into our discussion this morning. But good morning, Tracy Whitfield.
Good morning.
My favorite women in the city, in the great city of Springfield, Massachusetts.
Back at you.
Good morning, Justin Hurst.
Good morning.
I'm really believing that you're going to be our first Black mayor, in the city of Springfield, Massachusetts. I call them a dynamic duo. I thank you for joining me this morning. I thank you for joining me this morning. But listen, let's just get right into it, because this next 50 minutes or so, it goes by pretty fast, especially when you have good guests like you all, on the show. And again, thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining another edition of Justice and Flow. I'm trying to get better at this. So I hope
you're doing a good job.
Doing fantastic.
Praying for me. Yeah, like I said, it's really important to me to bring information to the community. Certainly honest information, transparent information, and trustworthy information. So I just don't invite anybody to the show. You know that. I believe you two were probably my first guests, if I'm not mistaken, right? If I'm not mistaken. So we know that y'all bring the truth. Y'all bring the truth. So that's what we're going to get into today. And again, I'm grateful. But did you want to have a comment on, the Will Smith and the Chris Rock situation before we get into our discussion today about Springfield?
I'll defer to Counselor Hurst first from the male perspective, and then I'll give my little 2 cents.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be short and sweet. I just think, as when you're in the public spotlight, you just have to conduct yourself in a better way. And I think you have a ton of people that are looking up to you, a ton of people that have a high level of respect for you, and you're on, one of the grandest stages that you could possibly be on. And so the idea that you can't keep your composure, considering that you've been there on numerous occasions already, to me is problematic. And for myself, there's no place for that in a public forum. And I think it was a missed opportunity for Will to handle it in a better way than he did. And the fact that everybody had to watch it at home, was just heart-wrenching. And the fact that you had 2 Black men up there that are lucky to be there, period, considering the circumstances of just society in general. For us to show out like that, it was unfortunate. So I lost a lot of respect for Will, and I know it's hard. I know it's not easy, and I'm sure I personally am going to find myself in that situation. And I just hope I can lead in a better way.
Yeah. Thank you for the male perspective. That's really important. Especially coming from a Black man. Tracy, what's your 2 cents, Tracy?
I mean, I'm mixed, but I do agree with Counselor Hurst, because I would slap a lot of people on a daily basis.
Me too.
Out in the public eye, it would be slap if that was the way to handle ourselves. But we can't go around doing that, and especially in the public eye. I think it could have been handled by a conversation. Like, this is this is a sensitive time for us, a sensitive time for her. But we also got to understand that that's his job, just like you have the LGBTQAI plus community going after what's the other comedian's name for his comedy special?
Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. And so we got to realize that this is comedy. This is just work for them. And and I just didn't, like Counselor said, seeing while I love that the woman was being defended, I was at first I was but then I was thought about it we can't do that to each other. We can't do that to each other. So, it's just really sad that it happened. And I wish it didn't happen, because I really love both of them. And Chris Rock definitely was the bigger man. I wanted to say hi to everybody out there, Falba, Angela, everybody out there commenting. Definitely appreciate you guys viewing. And Let's get into it.
Yes, let's get into it. Thank you so much for your comments concerning that situation because that's a hot button topic. This morning, people are going in about it, and maybe they're staying tuned also to the show. But I thank God for the show, and I thank God for y'all agreeing to come in right now. In my humble opinion, and I haven't been able to do all the research because my phone is crashing or something, so I haven't been able to get out there and kind of dig a little bit deeper into what I feel like may be going on. So definitely wanted to bring you two on to give us some more information or enlighten us, the community, about what may be going on. So if I'm not mistaken, and either one of you jump in whenever you feel necessary. If I'm not mistaken, we may need to be taking a closer look at what's happening to this ARPA money and how this ARPA money is being distributed throughout the community. I do remember somewhat seeing or reading a caption in an article that stated that some of these resources and a lot of this identified money that was supposed to be going into the community has been going into the hands of millionaires or billionaires, in the state. And so I need some explanation. What's going on here? What's happening here? We'll start with you, Tracy.
All right, so first I want the community to understand the separate pots of money that we're going to be talking about today. The first part of money is called free cash. So free cash is like an amount of money that wasn't used in the budget process the year before. And so we had, I think altogether we had $27 million of free cash and we used it for various things. So it's like a pot of money we could use for various things in the community. And it is the taxpayers' dollars, it's the taxpayers' dollars that go into this free cash. So, Councilor Hurst and I definitely said that this money should be going back into the hands of the residents of the city of Springfield. So, one thing that I asked for with free cash was to lower the property tax burden for the residents of the city of Springfield. The mayor did give $2.5 million relief, which equates to like $87 off of average $87 off of a property tax bill. And I asked for an additional $5 million this year to lower it even more, like maybe another $170 for each individual's tax bill. And I asked to use the free cash to do this, and the mayor wouldn't even negotiate. Wouldn't say, no, I can't do 5, but I can do 3. Didn't say I can't do 5, but I can do 1. I could do an extra 100,000, nothing. And then turn around and put on a city council agenda to give $6.5 million to the Pignellis, who own the bus station. For folks who don't know, their company is called Opal, and then Wynn is a company out of Boston. So he wanted to give them $6.5 million to finish developing 1331 Elm Street, which is kind of across from City Hall, where that Court Square Park is, and then straight ahead is the building. So they had already started working on it. And they said that the material costs had risen, and it's true. Material costs has risen for everybody, and they need an additional $13 million. And so they got half of it from mass housing, so 6.5, and they wanted the other 6.5 to come out of this free cash bucket. My problem was not the project itself. It was not union workers not working. My problem is I asked for relief, and Councilor Hurst been asking for relief for the residents of the city of Springfield. And with the same bucket of money that I asked for $5 million to give our taxpayers more of a relief off of their property tax bill, he takes the same bucket of money and gives it to these millionaires, billionaires. I don't know their financial statement, but they're in the high millions because they get a lot of projects from the city of Springfield and other places. It's a lot of backdoor deals. So I just wanted Councilor Hurst to kind of expound on that, and then we'll go into the ARPA funds. But that is where my fight came from. Like, you're not going to give the residents of the city of Springfield any type of break. I went back and negotiated saying, can we waive the trash fee for this year? They are like, oh, if we waive the trash fee for this year, people aren't going to understand it. Oh, because people are stupid. tell people this is a 1-year benefit because of the times that we're in. We're going to waive the trash fee for you. It's a 1-year benefit. People can understand, put it in writing. So if there's any type of argument, you got it in writing, right? And so I tried to negotiate that. I didn't hear anything. So I'll let Counselor Hurst jump in from there.
Counselor Whitfield, before I say anything, can you just expound upon the fact that folks were looking to hold the city council responsible for this project not moving forward, because they were saying that if the city did not come up with the $6.5 million, then this project was not a go. And so if you could just expound upon that for folks who are watching at home.
So Mass Housing had agreed to give them $6.5 million of the total 13 that they needed, contingent on them getting another 6.5 million. So when they proposed it to us, they said that the 6.5 million match had to come from the city. So I called Mass Housing and I spoke to the government's relation person there. She spoke to the VP that run this program. It's called the Workforce Housing Program. And they said they are invested in this project getting done. And the money is there. They're going to keep it there. They just had to secure the other 6.5 million themselves. It didn't have to come from the city, but they made it seem like it was a city match. So during that time, they're calling. So the contractors, Fontaine Brothers, so they're calling the unions. The unions are calling me and Counselor Hurst, like left and right, saying we're not going to work. And I feel for the unions, and I want everybody to work, because the unions are probably in the same, union workers are in the same predicament as everybody else. However, a lot of the union workers are not from the city of Springfield, and I'm just going to keep it 100% real. And my relief was for city of Springfield taxpayers and residents specifically, because this is our money.
Right.
So the narrative was the city council is going to stop this project from going through if they don't give the $6.5 million, which, and I'm sorry, I'm a little congested. If they don't give the $6.5 million, they're going to stop the project. Now, let me tell you, they already got $51.3 million invested in this property, and none of the cash was there. So Counselor Hurst and I was asking, what is your personal investments? What's your private investments as the developers? You know, what are you doing to make this a deal? They got, first they had 16 million from Mass Housing. So now they got an additional 6.5 million from Mass Housing. They got 16 million from MGM. They got 5 million from, Mass Mutual. They got 11 million in housing tax credits. They got 500,000 invested from the union. So they had already cobbled together $51.3 million to invest in this project, and none of that money came from them. And then the smack in the face is the mayor and his administration will turn around and give the same bucket of money that I'm asking for relief for our taxpayers to this project. Did that do?
Yeah, no, that did everything I wanted it to do. And first of all, I want to shout out, Counselor Whitfield for her due diligence on this. And, the fact that she was really able to push the envelope and make a couple phone calls and really stay on this particular issue was critical for us to really have a good understanding as to what it was we were working with. I mean, the idea that the city would flat out lie to us was extremely problematic. And maybe it wasn't the city, maybe it was the developers. Somebody was lying, and somebody was presenting the public with a bag of goods that was spoiled. And it was not the case that if we didn't come up with 6.5 million that this project wasn't going to move forward. It could have moved forward. It could have moved forward if they found that 6.5 million somewhere else. Go take out a loan for the $6.5 million. Put it in yourself, like Councilor Whitfield had said. But don't come to those individuals that have been working so hard just to try to make ends meet and say, you know what, I'm going to take it from them. And it was almost as if the administration was bullied into, into appeasing these developers who, we already gave them $4 million. I mean, we gave them $4 million to start the project 2 years ago. And the fact that they didn't start the project really was on them. And that was one of the things that, as I was processing this vote and frustrated over this vote over the weekend, that really dawned on me. There are a whole lot of other union projects that were going on throughout COVID. Why didn't this one? And so if their reasoning behind the need for $13 million was inflation, well, why don't you start the project 2 years ago when we gave you the $4 million?
Yeah.
That was supposed to solidify the deal. I mean, Brightwood, they constructed Brightwood during the pandemic, during the heart of the pandemic. You look over at the new Homer Street School / Ben Swan School.
Right.
That's been moving forward. And so, the idea that inflation, the $13 million in inflation for the goods that they need to put this project together falls on the back of taxpayers and not the developers who made the mistake is just unrealistic. And it was something that we were not willing to do, and for a variety of different reasons.
And I want to thank Councilor Hurst, because we had a meeting about it, a finance subcommittee meeting, and I felt like I was on an island, and these white men were trying to bully the hell out of me. And Councilor Hurst was the only counselor that got on there, spoke truth to power. Councilor Hurst is also very kind, because he says that the city was bullied, and I say that I speculate backdoor deals. So I thank him for his kindness with that, because they've known since January. They also created a program. So this is a adaptive mixed use historic property program. Okay, so we'll jump a little bit to ARPA funds. Okay, I'm just gonna give y'all some backup. I'm sorry, I got a little cold. So this project, the 1331 Elm Street, is an adaptive reuse historical property project. The city of Springfield created a fund. They put $15 million of ARPA money. Now the city of Springfield got $123 million of ARPA funding altogether, and probably less than 1% of that went out to the city. That is the reason why we got it. So this money is meant for disproportionately impact individuals that struggle the most during COVID, right? And so that's the Black and brown community in the city of Springfield. So they created a program and took $15 million of that ARPA money and put it into a Build Back Springfield program that helps fund half of acquisition and rehab of adaptive mixed-use historical projects. So what they tried to do was put ARPA funds into this type of program and give that $6.5 million out of that program to these developers. However, Councilor Hurst and I was like, this is a great project, but we got questions. You only providing 50% of the housing costs, the rehab and the acquisition, the purchase. Where are the Black and brown people that this money is meant for going to get the other half of the capital? So we're digging into that too, guys. We're doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and I can't tell you about all of it, but we start digging into that. And so they knew if they would have gave the $6.5 million out of that mixed use fund, we were going to lose it. So they had to come up with another creative way, and they went to the free cash. Councilors, did you want to expound?
I think you said just about all of it.
Wow.
I mean, they were looking to pull the wool over folks' head, and oftentimes they are able to do this because folks aren't monitoring the money. Now, we already knew to expect something along these lines when you're going to purchase $2 million buildings in downtown Springfield. So, we're already skeptical about where that ARPA money is going and whether it's actually going to have an impact on the communities that it should be having an impact on. So we knew going into it that folks were going to try and find every which way they can to make sure that this ARPA money goes to their own folks. And so when they created this project, I mean, it was really Councilor Whitfield's doings, and she was trying to figure out a way in which our people can benefit, and and rightfully so. Any money that's spent with ARPA funding, we ought to be looking at it from a lens as to how folks in the Black and brown community can take advantage of it, because that was the intent. And so when she started asking questions, it was very clear that they had this money allocated for a specific reason. Now, while maybe one or two select individuals or select projects in our community might have benefited, That was not their intentions. I think their intentions, like Councilor Whitfield said, was to go to fund this project. But when we started prying, it was like, oh no, they're absolutely going to destroy us publicly if we come out and say we need to use this money for these purposes. And like Councilor Whitfield said, they knew a long time ago that they were short 6.5 million. And so the question was, do they hide it? Do they try and hide it, in which we would have exposed them anyway, and it would have looked even worse? Or do they just say, you know what, we're going to throw this in your face and we're going to do it above board, and we're going to use your money to fund this project, and we're hoping that you don't say anything. And clearly that didn't happen. Although the frustrating part, and maybe Councilor Whitfield can opine on it, there were only two people that were in agreement with folks not getting this $6.5 million. And, these other 10 individuals who voted for this are the same folks who asked for money for a variety of other things that, would actually benefit residents. And so I just couldn't compute how it is that they're okay with this $6.5 million going out the window, and yet your average taxpaying citizen is struggling to make ends meet. That just didn't add up for me. So,
well, added up for me. I think everybody got their limit where they can be bought, because that's all it is for me. You can be bought at some price, whether it's union workers calling you all the time and maybe they fund you or they support you, or you can't take the pressure. I don't give in to pressure that easily. I won't, because right is right and wrong is wrong. And we have to stand for something.
Right.
We have to stand for something. We are out here. We are elected by the people.
Right.
One of the city councilors came on and said, well, it's 500 jobs at stake. Well, tell me how many of those 500 jobs out of 155 thousand residents, how many of those 500 are Springfield residents out of the union workers? Right.
I would love to know that number.
But they didn't question that. Yeah. When the unions called me, I said, I understand. I don't want anybody to lose their job or lose work. However, the residents of the city of Springfield are struggling so much, even to drive out of their driveway and hit a pothole. You know what I mean? That's
what I was about to say.
That's going on that we could be helping the city of Springfield. Yeah, we give 6.5 million to, clearly we know they're millionaires, if not billionaires, right? Clearly we know that. And they couldn't dig into their pocket. And as a matter of fact, when the thing is all said and done and is built, they get about $1.7 million a year in rent. And I did that calculation right on the city council call with them. So they get, and they said, oh, but only 85% is going to us because we got to pay this back. You're lying. There's no way you would be going this hard. You would be investing the, 15, 20 years you've invested in it for $200,000 a year profit. Right. That's not true. You could say what you want. I don't believe a word of it. Right. You're averaging, and that's 1.7 million with just apartment rentals. I didn't even add in that they're going to be renting out commercial space on the bottom. So they're probably getting over $2 million a year from this project after it's built. And they didn't put in but $3 million of their own money. They say it's going to be $8 million over time and $3 million so far. I wish we had a financial breakdown to see how much they really contributed, because I don't even believe that.
Oh my goodness. This sounds so complicated and so convoluted. So let me commend both of you for really, digging deeper and, doing all the research and work for us and bringing it to the community and breaking it down so, into small pieces so we can understand what's going on. Although I'm not as enlightened and educated as I want to be about what may be happening, I can say this, that I can look at the community, right? I can look physically in our city and I can see corruption must be happening, politically, right? I mean, it's so obvious. Like, even in looking at the housing crisis that we're experiencing, right? It's like nobody can find, I need a bigger place. I have families. I'm a therapist. Y'all know this, right? I'm a therapist. I have families with 4 and 5 children that have been suffering living in a 1-bedroom apartment because they cannot relocate. They cannot find a bigger place. They cannot, or they can't afford a bigger place. But
Well,
we
let me
just
tell
don't
you
have
something.
the housing. We don't have the housing that we need.
Well, they ain't gonna be able to afford this place either because it's market rent.
That's
They're not
what I
moving
know.
into this 2-bedroom apartment for
Exactly.
$1,800 or more a month. Even
Yeah.
on the workforce credit, they're not moving in. And what about our elderly and disabled? Because they only got workforce units and they got market rate units, which for a 2-bedroom is on the upside of $1,800. So I'm sorry for your family and mine, but that's not where they'll be moving to because that property is not meant for struggling folks. Okay,
Right.
it's not meant for elderly. It's not meant for low income folks that need housing right now.
Right.
And that was the kicker.
A money cash cow for when Opal and the backdoor deals.
Right.
I mean, you add insult to injury, and we're not even going to benefit from being able to live there. I mean, when it's all said and done, you got folks struggling to put food on the table. They can't get back and forth to work with respect to, because of the gas prices are so high. I mean, you got trash fees, taxes going up. I mean, there's so many additional added costs that folks could have used this money to provide relief for. And then at the end of the day, we can't even live in these particular apartments that are going for market rate. And so, it was problematic. And just First Lady, if I may, just taking it back to the unions, it supporting this project or voting against this money to go to these big time developers doesn't mean folks are anti-union. Right. I support the unions, but folks also have to understand that there are a whole lot of unions that are not a part of these trades unions that are building these particular developments. There are a whole lot of individuals that are at home living check to check that might not be a part of the trades union, but they might be a part of, let's say, the paraprofessionals union. And they have been asking for a living wage for a long time, and repeatedly the mayor has said no. And so the idea that this 6.5 million couldn't have gone to that union or the many unions that Councilor Whitfield and I have been fighting for to get merit pay because they have served on the front lines. There are so many places in unions that this money could have gone. The unions really should have said, we stand with Councilor Whitfield and Councilor Hurst. And in my conversations with those individuals who are in charge of those unions, they understood, which is why I'm dumbfounded that so many other councilors erred on the side of, let's continue to make the rich allow the rich get richer, as opposed to, your average individual who is struggling here in Springfield. I was confused, but we're not anti-union.
No way.
Well, here's the other piece. I hear us keep saying struggling, and I think a lot of people are thinking, oh, okay, this is the and excuse me for just trying to make this point quicker, so I don't want to offend anybody with the language that I'm about to use, but so the struggling people are the welfare moms and I don't know, the part-time janitors and this, that, and the other, right? No, you looking at somebody that's struggling. Okay, you looking at somebody that's struggling. I got 2 master's degrees. My husband has 4 master's degrees. 4 degrees. Or whatever the case may be. We would have been the somewhat of a middle class family, but no, we struggle, especially since COVID, right? Especially since COVID, we have to really look at a budget, apply a budget. We have to live sensibly. We don't have a whole lot of disposable income. My husband is not going to appreciate me talking like this, but it's the truth.
The truth is the truth.
It's the truth. Financially, we got to be really responsible. We got to be really strict. We got a son in college. We got cars. We got car notes, we got insurance, we got
regular expenses that need to be paid.
And then, with inflation, my food bill can be like $1,000 a month, literally my food bill. And I'm budget conscious. I'm one of those people that clip coupons and all of that kind of stuff. And I still spend about $1,000 a month on food, right? And then I have oil heat. Do I need to talk about that right now?
I got oil heat, so no, you don't.
Okay. Let's be real. Let's just be real about it. Oil heat right now, if I was to fill my tank, it'll cost me about $1,200 to fill my tank. For 250 gallons. 250 gallons. It would cost me about $1,200. So now I got to break that up. Okay, I'm gonna get a half a tank of oil, or whatever the case may be, and it might last me a month, especially in the wintertime. Now, it's coming up the spring and the summer or whatever, I get a break on the oil, but nevertheless, that's expensive, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I got to be budget conscious. We all do. I know people are not as transparent as me, but the fact of the matter is, I would say that I'm struggling right now. So if some of that money could go to relieve some of our heat bill, or some of our food bill, or some of, or whatever, the trash fee, or the taxes, or whatever, back into the community, or whatever, in some kind of impactful way, because I get what you're doing, Tracy, asking for a relief with the taxes and this, that, and the other. But for people, right now it's day to day. So it needs to be impactful enough to where we can get a little bit of relief on the oil, get a little bit of relief on the electricity, get a little bit of relief on the mortgage, or whatever the case may be.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you, sister. And you're speaking to the choir. I have oil tank too. So you are preaching to the choir, and it's not the only funding they have. And so what we got to do as a community is start asking these questions, right? Me and Council Hurst can bring the information to y'all, but if y'all not calling the mayor, if y'all not putting the pressure on them, and y'all not letting them know that you guys are also watching, if you're not checking in with these other city councilors to say, what are you doing? Why'd you vote this on that? Why'd you vote this? And putting them the fuel to the fire, it can't be just me and Councilor Hurst all the time. There's a lot of pressure. We both work full-time jobs and got family, and we have other responsibilities, but we need everybody. Call the mayor, email him, tell him these are the things that I want to see with my dollars. They're your money. It's my money. It's all your money. If you pay taxes, excise tax, property tax, trash fee, whatever it is, this is your funds. We need other folks speaking up, calling the mayor, emailing the mayor, saying, we don't like what just happened, but here's how you can make it right. You can create a fund with the $9.3 million of MGM money you got sitting in an account that you ain't doing nothing with, trying to wait for the next big project before you spend any of that, and give some oil tank relief and give some food relief. It's the truth. It's sitting there. No, actually it's 9.6 million sitting there doing nothing. And what the CAFO told me, who is the department head for the finance department, is like, oh yeah, we were trying to wait until this money kind of piled up so we could do something big with it. But then ARPA funds came. So now they're doing big things with ARPA funds that's supposed to be going back out to the community.
Oh Lord.
Okay. I would also, I'm sorry, Councilor Whitfield. I would also encourage folks to go back and take a look at the meeting. Go on to the City of Springfield's website. I didn't hear any explanation from the individuals who were for this $6.5 million transfer that was reasonable, that made a whole heck of a lot of sense. What I saw and what I heard was counselors trying to cover up for the fact that they felt an obligation to vote a particular way for whatever reason. Maybe it's because they received donations from the union. Maybe it was because they received donations from the developers. Maybe it was because they got pressure from the mayor. But we need to let folks know that that is inexcusable. And, anytime that you're going to prioritize big time developers over the citizens of Springfield, we need to let folks know. And the fact that you had 10 of them, I can understand, if maybe you had 3 or 4, but you had 10 of them. And these are the same folks that, profess to believe that, we're putting people over politics, or we're putting the community first. I see some of our own folks hold these people in high esteem, and I'm sitting here like, during one of the biggest votes in the history of the city council since I've been elected, you're going to allow $6.5 million at a critical juncture in the city of Springfield's history, where folks are struggling to walk out the door. I can't subscribe to that mentality or philosophy, and I don't think you all should either. And so they need to know. This was one of the few times that the city council could have said no. Oftentimes we don't have the leverage. We can only do so much. Now we had an opportunity to be able to hold up the entire project and save $6.5 million. And only 2 folks had the courage to say that's what should happen.
Right. And I don't want to, Councilor Davila wasn't there. He was out of town, so he did not vote or speak his opinion. But what I would encourage folks to do is a 2-hour meeting, but look at the finance meeting from the day before. The day before.
Can you give us that information?
Thursday last week was the fire. And then they didn't let us do too much talking on Friday when we actually did the vote. But Councilor Hirsch and I were still able to get our points in and our points across. But you'll see the fight on the finance meeting the day before. So
so before we go on, one of my heroes is the Black Eagle on Sirius XM. He's one of my heroes. So one of the things that he always asks is, what are we gonna do about it? Right? What are we gonna do about it? I understand where we are right now, that the meeting took place, the vote took place on last week, or whatever the case may be. But you said something, both of you actually said something, that we can be emailing the mayor, and we can be calling the mayor, and we can, and we can be calling our city councilors, or whatever, since, most of them voted, to have this done, whatever. But we can be calling our city councilors, we can be emailing our city councilors. But right now, I want you to give us the email address to the mayor for those of us who are listening, who are residents of Springfield. And I also want you to give us the phone number. And you said that we can go to the city website, or is there another website that we can also view? Is it Focus Springfield?
Focus Springfield, yeah.
Okay,
and you will look at I think there's a link that says council meetings or something in the political arena. You click on that and you'll see a finance subcommittee meeting. And that's the meeting where you hear the lies, you see the lies. I make it clear. I pull up the email where the lady said it wasn't contingent on the $6 million coming from the city of Springfield. So you could pull that up and all those things, and really just pay attention to how they were trying to talk to me, pay attention to the whole meeting, and you'll get the background story on why Councilor Hurst and I were so upset, why we thought we would have more support from other councilors, because this was just wrong. It was lies, and it was thrown in our face as a last minute to say, oh, they're just going to approve this because this project is so important. No, to me, the rich getting richer is not important to me. To me, the residents of this great city is what's important to me. And so, like Councilor Hurst said, for the paraprofessionals, you're doing nothing. Right. Nothing. And they handle our most precious jewels on a weekly basis. And for them, you'll throw in the dish towel. So that means you're throwing in the dish towel on our youth in the city of Springfield. You're throwing in the dish towel on so many families in the city of Springfield, and you do not want to negotiate a decent contract with these folks that put themselves out there. They take away from their own families to be there for ours, and you don't want to give them a livable wage, and they can't collect unemployment in the summer. Like, there's so many things I didn't know about until I started talking to the paras and going to their meetings. And so we got to start educating ourselves as a community on how we're being treated from this administration, because the things that's happening is not right. Now, let me give y'all one more tidbit. every department head that works on the town side that's not in a union for the city of Springfield on the town side, all the mayor's department heads got $5,000 bonuses. Every one of them. Everyone. And we got the proof.
Where that money come from? Where that money come
from? Fund money. It wasn't supposed to go to them. They're already making six figures. It's supposed to go to you and the paras and the teachers and the custodians and the IT folks. It's supposed to go to those folks, the frontline workers, EMTs, and you know. But no, every single department head got a $5,000 bonus. And then you had some of the little people that got nothing. You got some of the clerks in the clerk's office that got nothing. And they were there physically, still doing birth certificates, death certificates, and death certificates were imperative at that time. So someone had to be there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They still are.
Zero. So we are fighting. I'm a financial person. I'm going to look at this money every chance I get. And so everybody can speak that language when it comes to doing right by the funds. You know what I mean? And it is important that we all do our research. It's budget season now. You guys can come to budget hearings. You can, learn this budget. We can have small sessions. I'll go to lunch and teach y'all this budget because I used to work on the budget. That's the reason I became a city councilor, because I seen the wrong that they have been doing with this money for years.
Right.
And there's a reason why they didn't want Councilor Whitfield to remain the finance chair. I mean, that we know what they were trying to orchestrate behind closed doors. And that's because, she's going to really scrutinize everything that is being spent in the city of Springfield and make sure that it's being spent right. The only other thing I would ask folks to do is, if you look at the meeting on Friday, one of the other things that really stood out for me were the individuals who said nothing. Yeah. And see, those individuals who said nothing, there was a reason why they said nothing. Because those individuals who actually said something that we're going to vote in favor of this transfer, what came out of their mouths didn't make sense. And so those individuals who remained silent knew there was no real good justification for approving this money. And so they didn't say a word. And one of the biggest transfers that I've been a part of, one of the most significant transfers, and these same individuals who have something to say about everything, stayed quiet.
And they didn't show up to the Thursday meeting because they already knew what they were going to do.
They already knew what they were going to do.
Yes. Angela said, saying nothing.
We got to be paying
attention.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got to be paying attention, folks. We got to be paying attention. And listen, we can't leave the two of you, hanging. We have to be your backbone. We have to be your support. Y'all got to know that somebody got your back. And so, there are many of us who got your back and who really appreciate you. Listen, I want to express to you what my
before you move on, can I just say one more thing? Like, all these things are bubbling up. They're just bubbling up.
Come on, bring it.
Okay. All right. So I just want to say one more thing about media. Okay. When you look at media, they're going to side with the administration because they're all in cahoots together. So when you see what Mass Live writes or Republican or whatever, don't take it for its word, because they've said that this money was contingent on the city giving $6.5 million because they didn't do their homework. And I said, shame on you, because I did mine. Just like I made the call to mass housing to see what was the truth, they could have done that. And so we got to realize who's running these papers and who historically has been running these papers. And then when you see certain things come out about Councilor Hurst and I, that seems negative, like the whole C. Jackson thing, which was totally a lie, totally untrue. I don't know who's doing this thing and who's behind it, but it certainly is not us. You can't believe it just on face value. Come to us, ask us. A lot of people out here got my telephone number. And if you can't get me by a phone call, text me. That's the easiest way for me to respond back to you, because I'm always doing something.
Right.
But don't just believe what the media puts out there at face value.
It's unfortunate, but we cannot trust the media. That's why we have our own outlets.
Exactly.
That's why we're developing and have developed our own outlets And for the most part, you can trust that. You can trust those media outlets. I mean, we just got to get our own everything.
Because folks like you will have us on to tell the truth. They will call us and still spin it to look in the mayor's favor.
Right.
So
that's true.
You got to consider the sources. When you can probably trust Point of View, you can probably trust Metro Records. You can probably trust some of the programs on WTCC. Some, depending on who's leading them.
It depends.
This one, of course, and of course, Bishop Swan is going to tell the truth. But you can't. They're going to report from their lens, right? That's what they're supposed to do. Just like we're supposed to report from our lens. That's what we're supposed to do. So just be careful with the media because they will have us, against each other. Right. And all Councilor Hurst and I are trying to do is bring us together and create awareness and do what's right for all people.
Yeah, and they're doing a good job. See, that is what is at y'all core, as individuals, as people, right? It's about unity. It's about doing the right thing. But, what they tend to do is separate y'all, because y'all are trying to maintain that unity. Y'all trying to maintain, that activism, speaking up for what's right for Black folks and for the community, right? For the community as a whole, just maintaining that, and speaking up for justice and this, that, and the other. And they try to make y'all look like y'all trying to bring division and separation and this, that, and the other one. That's actually what they're doing to you, too. That's what I've seen. But let me tell you what my biggest fear is. My biggest fear, and I believe it's happening. Y'all tell me if I'm wrong. My biggest fear has always been, and I'm gonna try to maintain my emotions with this, because when we think about the amount of suffering Black folk have endured over the last 2.5 years, the losses and the sacrifices that have been made, even while we were losing and burying our family members and our loved ones, we was also still at the same time simultaneously working, to help hold on to democracy in this country. I remember, really being inspired to get out there and start doing some of the stuff that I was doing, or whatever. And I remember talking to my mother, and my mother was really proud of me. And my mother was, expressing to me, do this, do that. I'm so proud of you, da, 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 da. I remember her holding on long enough to see Biden and Kamala elected, and then she died a week later from COVID. So, I mean, when you kind of just, bring all of that together, right? And knowing, that, we're the ones, right? Holding this banner of justice, even through this pandemic. And then to know that it's because of our blood and our bodies and our sacrifice that these monies have even been created to be allocated back into the community in the first place. My biggest fear is we're not going to benefit at all from it. And then when this pandemic is over and we're able to look at what's going on in the community, we're not going to be able to see nothing different or nothing changed or nothing for the better, because of the sacrifices that were made during the pandemic. That's my biggest fear. And I really get emotional about it. And I really get anxiety filled, worried about it, because the sacrifice has been made already, right? And we're still in the pandemic, but the sacrifice has been made already. Now we ought to start to see what the benefits to that sacrifice is going to be. I give you an example. Y'all remember the tornado, what was it, 10, 12 years ago? 12, 13 years, I lose my count because of COVID. But about 12 years ago, however long ago, my husband was out of town at the time. But that tornado tore the roof off of the church. It tore the roof off of the church. And when we first looked, we was like, oh my God, how are we gonna be able to, how are we gonna come back from this? That's expensive, da, 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 or whatever the case may be. Well, we have a historical building that we're in. Our church was a school at first. It was a school. One of the first schools, I think, or oldest schools. It should have been a historical landmark, to be quite honest with you. But it was one of the oldest schools in the city of Springfield. But anyway, going through that process of, collecting the insurance money or whatever, we were not only able to put a new roof on the church, but we was also able to do some other things that needed to be done in the church. And so to me, that's what sacrifice looks like. Sacrifice looks like, okay, the sacrifice has been made. The roof was torn off the church. Or my mama died. My brother died. Or whatever case may be. But when you benefit from the sacrifice that was made, right? You not only get to replace, in which we know we can't replace my mother, my brother, but you see kind of their legacy in physical form, if you will, right? So the roof was replaced, but we also got new pews, we got new flooring, we got new, whatever, new toilets, new this, new that, or whatever, because it was a benefit to the sacrifice that had been made. And I don't see that playing out in that way. And that's very upsetting. That is very upsetting.
So first I want to say sorry about your losses and your family's losses, because I remember talking to you during that time and things like that, and it was so hard for you, and I can't even imagine, you know what I mean? So I wanted to say sorry to everybody who lost someone during a difficult time, but you're absolutely right. There needs to be a benefit for the frontline workers, for the hard workers, which are historically Black and brown folks,
right,
throughout the country, because those are the jobs that we have, right?
Right.
But as long as there is breath in this body, we are going to fight to make sure that money goes to the city residents that need it the most. And I meet with them every 2 weeks on the ARPA funds to make sure, see how it's spending. And Councilor Hurst keep bringing it up. Like only about 500,000-600,000 done went out of the 123 million. We're probably about down to 60 something. And about 500,000 or so has went to the community so far. And Councilor Hurst just keep bringing that up. And I want demographics. I want where this money is going. So we've been having a hard time getting information from the city. And I want y'all to look at this. This administration, maybe the mayor may have been a good person at one time, but right now, power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts, absolutely. And this is not his money to play with. It's ours. It's ours. And he should be doing the right thing with it. And if you got an administration that's not doing the right thing for the residents of the city of Springfield, then the administration needs to change.
Right.
We need a good person, a fighter, someone who's going to do what's right for the residents of the city of Springfield, someone who is vested 100% for all people. And for me, that's Councilor Hurst.
Right.
And I'm going to back him, and I'm going to fight for him, and I'm going to be out on the streets, and I'm going to speak at every event. And every time I get on this phone, I'm going to talk about the great character, the great person he is. Maybe he's not as visible as I was, because that's who I am. I'm a community person. I get out there, I'm going to make it happen. We're going to have fun. We're going to go home. His children are smaller than mine. Mine are grown. So I have more time to be visible. But when I said behind the scenes, he is my sounding board. He'd be like, well, Trees, maybe you should do this. Because sometimes I'll be ready to explode, guys. I'm a firecracker. So he grounds me. He helps me write certain things. He helps me keep my composure. And he gives me all sides of the picture. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes I just have a narrow focused lens, and he'd be like, well, let's consider this. Let's look at this. Very level-minded person, smart as a whip, great writer, and does his homework. Like we spend a lot of time doing research, but I learned doing my research from him because I'm a newer counselor. And I just followed what he was doing. I was like, oh, if he could research that, I don't got to be a lawyer to research it. I could do it too, you know? And so
you just bring up a really good point that I like to make about you and Justin. Y'all know that whole shenanigans that went on last week, right? With KBJ, with Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Yeah.
I was watching that and man, I was crying. I mean, it really, I was really emoting. It really brought out a lot of emotions. I was so mad. I was so angry. But when Cory Bush,
Cory Booker?
Cory Bush, yeah. Not Cory, Cory Booker. I'm sorry.
Booker, yeah.
Booker. When Cory Booker gave his, I'm calling it a sermon because that speech was like a sermon. I mean, like he was preaching. Mm-hmm. When he gave his sermon to her to affirm her, I said, where have I seen this before? I started crying again, right? I just cried. I started crying again. I said, but where have I seen this before? And I wasn't thinking about me and my husband, but I thought about you two. I said, that's where I've seen it before. I said, because Justin he always has her back. Because you are severely mistreated. You're the only Black woman on the city council. And with that being the case, we know they come for you. They come for you hard, or whatever. But Justin is always there, to affirm you, to protect you, to support you. And I'm just telling you, that is the way it is supposed to be. That is the way it is supposed to be. But I thought of you two, when I seen it, and I just welled up. I was like, oh, I've seen this before. I've seen this before, Justin and Tracy, or whatever. But, it is a beautiful thing. And I thank God for y'all relationship. And I thank God for what you're doing, together. I do think it's divine. And what you're doing together, on the city council. And I think that the city of Springfield is definitely better for it. And I think that our community is definitely better for it because you two are together there, So.
Well, I have adopted Justin and his family as mine. His kids are my nephews. His wife is my sister-in-law. And he is my brother. You hear me? But it's not that he just fights. It's the way he fights. He's poised, he's calm, he's graceful, but he knows his stuff. And if you guys never watched him, you gotta start. Tune into him when he is speaking because it's so powerful. Like we were on that call and I'm ready to explode. I'm rocking back and forth. Somebody texted me like, stop rocking. And he came in and said what he had to say in just this calm demeanor, calm me all the way back down. But he said it and he was fighting, not just for me, but for all of you too. But I know for me too. Yeah. And I calmed down. I said, he's right. Took some breaths and I came back in a new space. So he does that.
Right.
Listen, I'm not going to say much more after this. But, I've been on the council for 8 years. And for the first 2 years, I had no idea what I was doing. And I also didn't have anyone leading the way that was truly fighting for our community. And so you can go back and take a look at who was on the council at that time, and you'll see where we lack leadership. When I finally started to find my way, it was rooted in speaking up on issues that folks wouldn't ordinarily speak upon. And those issues were those that had an impact on our community. And so the more that I did that, the more that I used to look behind me and say, well, where the heck is everybody else? Why isn't everybody else speaking up on these issues? And so when Councilor Whitfield joined the council and, she started to chime in from a genuine standpoint of wanting to help our community, at that point in time, I was like, all right, let's go. Because oftentimes we think, we can accomplish things by ourselves. And what I didn't realize was that it was having a toll on me and, constantly fighting. Sometimes you want to look behind you and or in front of you, you know, and know that you're going into this battle and somebody is going to have your back, even if I'm not always you know, even if you don't agree with everything that I'm saying, just being able to know that somebody is not going to let other folks get up there and start talking nonsense. Knowing that, you know, my spirit is genuine in terms of my desire to help the community. And so when Council Whitfield came on, it was easy for me. And so there's and I also haven't been able to have anybody that was willing to take the lead on issues, so that I didn't always have to be at the point. And so Council Whitfield not only takes the lead, but she'll put me in check.
That's what black women
you know, if I start to veer off, you know, there'll be times where Councilor Whitfield and I, you know, we'll be getting at it, and you know, at the end of the day, either I'll come around or she'll come around, but it's all, you know, it's all about the community and it's all about our people. And at the end of the day, even if we do disagree, which is very rarely, we know that we have a goal in mind, and that's to better our community and especially our folks. And so whatever that takes, and I'll be damned if I'm gonna let anybody come in and try to destroy the one or certainly the first woman of color that I've had serve with me on the city council, black woman of color. If you think you're gonna take shots at Councilor Whitfield and you're not gonna hear from me, you're out of your mind. And so that's what was on display on Friday. On top of the fact that she oftentimes she's right. And so if you're attacking her, you're attacking our community. And so, you know, she makes it easy for me. And she's also right, and you're also right, First Lady. You know, it's one thing to talk about everything that's wrong. It's another thing to say, you know what, I need to put myself in a position to be prepared to take the next step, and you know, to have that impact that we might not be able to have now because of who's in office. And so, you know, Council Whitfield
said, don't slap nobody like Will Smith. He might not be the slapper.
We ain't gonna do that.
Me back, though, but
we ain't gonna do that. We ain't gonna do that. Not as long as we're there together. But yeah, no, I appreciate you guys.
As long as they don't come for her in that way, you know.
I was about to say, you know, you never know.
we got an army out here now, so we ready for the fight, but we're gonna do it the right way. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do what's right for the citizens of Springfield. We're gonna tell the truth. They're gonna call me Tracy Tell the Truth Whitfield going forward, because
I think we already call you that.
Yeah, we gonna tell the truth. And what I love about Councilor Hurst is he always has, even when it's not the popular thing to do, even when folks in the community and outside of the community gets upset with him, he will stand alone and telling the truth. And that's why I remember being out, I had surgery, and I was reading these articles about the Nathan Bill incident, and Councilor Hurst had stood up and everything. And I said, well, where's everybody else? I called them because I read it in the paper because I was out on medical leave.
Right.
I said, well, where's everybody else on this with these reinstatements of these officers and stuff like that? And he was like, there's no one else. I said, yes, there is. I'll have my press release out by the end of the day. And I was on, I mean, this was the day after my surgery. So, but no, you're not going to leave him out there on issues. That's right. We're not doing that anymore. Like that silence mentality. If folks are silent and they're the city councilor in your community, you need to be looking at that. We're both at large, so we're for the whole city. Right. But if you got ward councilors that you never hear, that's taking photo opportunities whenever they can with folks that are doing you all wrong. Mm-hmm. When I say you all, includes me, because I'm a property owner here.
Right.
You know, if you see that all the time, you got to look at the alignments and things that's going on out here now, guys. We got to wake up.
Right.
We got to wake up. You got folks out here ready to educate on what's really going on in the city of Springfield. If you're not asking these questions, that's on you.
Right.
But we got to wake up together as a community and get right folks in place so we can really grow this city. This city should be much further along than it is
exactly.
right now.
Exactly.
But,
that's my point. So it is. Oh God, it's 10 minutes after 11.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry that I held y'all past the hour. See, I told you that those 50 minutes go by really fast when you're having good, robust conversations and and giving out honest information, right? So the first thing I need to say is that I need y'all to come back. Okay, yeah, I need y'all to come back. As a matter of fact, this probably needs to be a consistent thing because we need the information and we need to use our platforms certainly to spread the information. That's the other thing that I want to commend you both for. I think that y'all use your platform not just as city council people, but also like your Facebook pages and stuff. You try to do a good job in using your Facebook profiles and things like of that nature to also give information as to what's going on in the community. But I want to encourage everybody, please email the mayor. I'm going to email the mayor today. Phone, leave a voicemail message, for the mayor, and maybe his chief of staff, or whatever, basically harass him, do whatever you need to do to get the message across that, okay, you need to, be more consciously aware of the decisions that you're making concerning this free money and concerning this ARPA money, and making sure that you are investing in the kinds of programs that are benefiting the community, investing in even properties that are going to benefit the community. He needs to have more of a steady vision about that money, or whatever, and making sure that it gets placed back into our community in a way to where we benefit and to where we also are invested in. So that could be everything that you already brought up, but housing is really, really big, for me, and and securing housing. So you know what I mean. So securing housing, affordable housing, but also people who own their house, like we do, or whatever, making it or helping us to keep our house and maintain our house. It's just so many things that's important, or whatever. But to where it also benefits the revenue of our schools, of our hospitals, and and all of that stuff. So y'all are helping us make all of those connections as well. So I've encouraged the people to do that. I'm also encouraging the people to go to Focus Springfield, and watch the meeting that took place on last Thursday, as the city council member Tracy and Justin have told us to do. So again, so we'll be more informed about what we are requesting or what action we do want the mayor to take, and then let's expose some of this corruption. I think it's really important that Tracy and Justin know that the residents have their back, even if the rest of the city council don't. I think it's probably more important to them that they know that we are here, and we got them, and that we are plotting and we are planning, or whatever. You don't need to know what we're doing, but we plotting and we are planning and we paying attention. I think that's really important to know that we are paying attention. What else did I need to say? It was something along those lines, but I think that's pretty much it. As far as like what we need to do, right? Or did I forget anything?
No, I think we just need to stand together, get the information. I got like 1 minute left, so I just wanted to give my closing remark, if that's okay with you.
Okay, sure.
First Lady, I just want to say thank everybody who's watching. I hope you're really listening. You can always call me, 413-221-4443. Text is a better method for me than phone calls, but if you need to call, do that too, 413-221-4443. But I wanted to just encourage us all to be encouraged and do the right thing and stand up for what's right. But don't let city councilors off the hook either. It's not just the mayor. We voted this in, not Councilor Hurst and I. We were the only no's. but the council voted this money in that could have went to all those services and supports that you said. We have gun violence going out the roof, and we don't have no real money going toward targeting that. And I think housing for some of these men on the street, jobs, transportation, and things like that will help turn their life around. Yet, where are the programs for that? So I'm working behind the scenes with Councilor Hurst on a program for that. Councilor Hurst got a big announcement coming up that he's been putting his sweat equity in to help even more disadvantaged people. I'm not going to throw his information out there.
Hours.
Okay.
It's
his baby.
Anything without counsel.
Anything that he's doing, I'm supporting. So it can be ours, but this is his brainchild. And
I don't know what it is yet, but
no, it's going to be a surprise. You'll find out this week. And I also want you guys to tune on to Daryl Moss Show at 9:00. We'll be on again, WTCC. So we'll be on that media outlet because we are trying to get the information out in as many platforms as we can. And so we're putting in the time and the work to make sure that gets done. And so that's all I want to say. Thank you, First Lady, for having us on. I definitely appreciate it so much.
Thank you, Tracy. Justin.
Yeah, thank you. My final word was I echo the sentiments of Councilor Whitfield. You know, we're at a critical point, I think, in the city of Springfield, and we need to make sure that folks continue to be informed and continue to press forward and stand in solidarity with folks like Councilor Whitfield and you, First Lady Swan, and certainly Bishop Swan, you know, who are on the front lines really pushing for change and reform and making sure that our community gets everything and every dime that it deserves. So if you see us in the fight, give us a call, 413-374-5844. Words of encouragement are great as well. You know, oftentimes we're in the throes of just helping and fighting that, you know, sometimes our mental health are in jeopardy and you won't even know it. And so, you know, a simple, you know, I appreciate the work that you're doing. That type of thing goes a long way. And even more importantly, like we've said before, reach out to those individuals who ought to be doing more and who ought to be standing for their community, whether it's with us or against us. Stand with our community, right? And I imagine that at the end of the day, we'll all be aligned. If that truly is your mindset. So, with that said, First Lady, thank you for having me, and thank you for those of you who are tuning in.
No, thank you to both of you for coming. And as always, as I say, I love you and I'm praying for you. So I hope you do the same for me. Pray for me.
Of course.
You know,
always.
And I hope you love me as well.
I love you so much.
Thank you again for coming to the show. Great show. Thank you so much for your information. All right, babe. You there?
As I keep saying, I don't want any fights.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for joining the show. Sorry we went 18 minutes over, but that was good information that was being shared. So I definitely wanted you to hear it. So God bless you. Have a great, great, great week. There is no secret that you